Part 67. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 663. Zhang Jun was also a famous general in the southern Song dynasty. Together with Yu Fei, Han Shizhong, and Lu Guangxi, he was called the four generals of Zhongxing in the southern Song dynasty. However, he, Yu Fei, and Han Shizhong had different attitudes toward the kingdom of Jin. The difference is that he belongs to the Zuhe faction and has taken refuge with Qin Hui. Because of this, the position of the most determined militants like Yu Fei towards the kingdom of Jin naturally conflicted with the positions of Zhang Jun and Qin Hui, seriously hindering their peace negotiation plan. Among all the generals of the main war faction, Yu Fei is undoubtedly the leader and main figure. Not only did he have the most determined attitude against the Jin kingdom, but he also caused huge damage to the Jin kingdom. Naturally, he became the first one among Qin Hui and others. The object to be eradicated. As the saying goes, to shoot a man first, shoot a horse, and to capture a thief first, capture the king. Getting rid of Yu Fei will not only bring a huge blow to the main war faction, but also serve as a warning to all the war faction members who want to fight against Jin in the future. The country should also think about its own fate first. Zhang Xian had just introduced the identity of the person who was talking to Yu Fei to the clan, and when everyone was still debating whether to rush over and kidnap Zhang Jun to rescue Marshal Yu, something unexpected happened. Several jailers came out from the corner, holding a very thick rope. One end of the rope was tied with a buckle and put around Yu Fei's neck. The other end was thrown to the beam on the top of the pavilion. Hang Yu Fei up. Due to the sudden incident, the generals of the Yu family army did not expect that Zhang Jun would talk to Yu Fei and hung him up, and it looked as if he was going to be hanged directly. Father! Marshal Yu! Without any preparation, Yu Yun, Su Qing, and others could no longer hold back the anger in their hearts. They shouted loudly and rushed over with weapons. Yu Fei, who had been hung up, was now very conscious. Seeing Yu Yun, Zhang Xian, and others who suddenly rushed out, there were anxious looks in their eyes, and they wanted to ask them to leave quickly. But before Yu Fei was hung up, his mouth had been covered with rags by the jailer. It was blocked, which made Yu Fei want to give a warning, but he could only let out waves of unclear howls. Yu Yun and others did not understand what Yu Fei wanted to express, but thought it was because it was too painful for him to be hung up. Couldn't bear the wailing, so he accelerated his pace and rushed towards Yu Fei. However, facing this group of uninvited guests, Zhang Jun's face did not show the slightest panic, and even the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, revealing a look that seemed he smiled evilly as his trick was successful, and said loudly, "Well done. I have no reason to arrest you traitors and treacherous officials, but you actually came to Dali Temple to rob the prison of your own accord. When you were really dozing off, someone handed you a pillow, and I just happened to catch you all today." After Zhang Jun said this, he waved his hand and a large group of archers poured out from all directions. In addition, countless jailers and officers and soldiers of the Song army rushed out together. When Zhang Xian and others saw this, they immediately shocked and angry. They did not expect that Zhang Jun had actually set a trap here, waiting for them to jump in. However, the matter of coming to rob the prison tonight had just been decided a few hours ago, and until this operation, they are also high-ranking generals in the Yu family army. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Philo novel app, Comma. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 664. Why did Zhang Jun seem to have known about it for a long time and set up a dragnet? Could it be said that in addition to Wang Gui and Wang Jun, there are other traitors among the top generals of the Yu family army? Thinking of this, everyone felt panic and even regretful. Why didn't they carefully screen everyone's attitude before deciding on this action, or let everyone get together after deciding on this action and not act alone? In this way, even if there is a traitor among the Yu family army, they will have difficulty finding him, and they even have to guard against the traitor hiding among the crowd and suddenly rising up and hurting others. Just as the generals gathered around and stood back to back, staring closely at the enemy troops rushing up at any time, Niu Gao suddenly let out a scream and fell to the ground. Everyone quickly turned around and saw a huge wound on Niu Gao's back, which penetrated his heart. Niu Gao had spurted a large amount of blood from his mouth and was about to die. Behind Niu Gao, Dong Xian was seen holding the sharp sword in his hand, with blood flowing down the blade from the sword's edge. Dong Xian is also a tiger general under Yu Fei, and is the commander of Yu Fei's own army, Tabai army. His military force can even be ranked among the top 5, and he is brave and fearless in battle. He often charges forward and sets a good example for the Yu family army. He achieved countless military exploits. However, such a tiger general also has very obvious shortcomings, that is, his character is not good, he is talented but not moral, and he is not only greedy for money but also lustful. Therefore, Yu Fei was dissatisfied with him many times and wanted to punish him, but after thinking of his military exploits, he know investigation will be held. But I didn't expect that Dong Xian would retaliate for this kindness. Not only did he secretly seek refuge with Zhang Jun, but he also tipped off Zhang Jun to frame Yu Fei and his colleagues in the Yu family army. Moreover, as a senior general in the Yu family army, Dong Xianqing was one of the most powerful people in the Yu family army, so he killed Niu Gao first. As for Yu Yun and Yang Zixing, the two of them were obviously more powerful than Niu Gao, but Dong Xian was a little far away from them, so he only chose Niu Gao, who was closer to him and had greater control. Mr. Dong, I didn't Euro trademark T expect you to be a traitor too. At this time, everyone finally knew that Zhang Jun could accurately know that everyone came to Dali Temple to rob the prison tonight. It turned out to be Dong Xian, the traitor, who had tipped them off, so they all went to kill Dong Xian. However, Dong Xian's martial arts skills were also the highest among the Yu family army. The top leader, after killing Niu Gao with one blow, retreated quickly, not fighting with the others. At the same time, a rain of arrows fell from the sky, separating Dong Xian from the generals of the Yu family army, and everyone had to give up, chasing Dong Xian and resisting the arrow rain attack. However, the arrow rain was too dense. In addition, Zhang Jun deliberately did not light the candles in Dali Temple in order to kill the generals of the Yu family army. The dark night blocked everyone's sight and resisted the attack. The rain of arrows was a bit overwhelming. After several rounds of shooting, all the generals of the Yu family army fell to the ground after being hit by arrows. In the end, only the 4 super generals Zhang Xian, Yang Zixing, Yu Yun, and Su Qing were still able to resist, and the rest all fell to the ground. The ground couldn't afford it. After all, these 4 people were super generals, and ordinary arrows could not kill them. So not long after, the archers stopped shooting, and countless jailers and Zhang Jun's soldiers also rushed over, killing the private individuals. They gathered around and fought. Seeing that the overall situation was decided, Zhang Jun looked up to the sky and laughed, and at the same time pierced the long sword in his hand into Yu Fei's heart. Fei Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 665. Zhang Jun could have killed Yu Fei long ago, but before that, he thought that Yu Fei was still useful and could be used as a bait to lure the generals of the Yu family army to come to rob the prison. And this bait, obviously life is worth more than death. But now only Zhang Xian and Su Qing are left in command of the Yu family army among the 22, plus Yu Yun and Yang Zixing. It can be said that the overall situation has been decided, and Yu Fei is no longer needed as a bait. Father! Marshal Yu! Seeing Zhang Jun piercing Yu Fei's heart with the long sword, Yu Yun, Zhang Xian, Yang Zixing, and Su Qing were all shocked and angry. However, this distraction caused many more wounds on their bodies. But these four people couldn't think about the wounds on their bodies. They just wanted to rush to Yu Fei's side quickly to see if he could be saved or if he had any last words. However, the four people were surrounded by thousands of jailers and officers and soldiers. It was difficult to break out of the encirclement for a while. In fact, if the two armies were fighting, these four people, as super generals, could kill among thousands or even tens of thousands of soldiers with their own bravery. But they are not now out of the battle formation, but in the prison of Dali Temple, without the help of war horses. Just a few thousand people were enough to trap them and it was difficult to break out. This situation is just like the Battle of Changban before Cao's army. Zhao Zilong, who was able to kill 7 in and 7 out, was also a super general. With the help of war horses, even Cao's army of 100,000 could not stop his charge. And when Zhao Yun saw Lu Chan and Mrs. Mi, he saw that the war horse was given to Mrs. Mi, and she fought on foot to break through. However, as Mi Zhu's sister, Mrs. Mi knew the importance of the war horse, so she would rather commit suicide by jumping into the well than implicate Zhao Yun. This also shows that in Zhao Yun's case, at the peak level of a super general, once he loses his war horse, he has no ability to break out from the enemy's siege, let alone Yu Yun, Zhang Xian, and others. Zhang Jun saw that Yu Fei was dead, and Yu Yun and others rushing left and right. It was difficult to break out of the encirclement. Instead, they suffered many wounds. Knowing that they could not hold on for long, they immediately laughed happily. Now that Yu Fei, the leader of the main war faction, is dead, these loyal dogs under him, once all of them died, peace with the kingdom of Jin would be a certainty, and he would naturally be extremely happy. However, at this time, Zhang Jun did not know that Emperor Wanyan Aguda of the Kingdom of Jin had been killed by the Jin destroying team led by Lu Feng. Although the Jin kingdom suppressed the matter, the country was already in chaos, and Jin Wushu was about to withdraw his troops. And even without Yu Fei, Han Shizhong would not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and would definitely lead his army to chase Jin Wushu. Wushu, go straight to Huanglong. Although I don't trademark know what Zhang Jun would think if he knew the situation, a scene that shocked him had already appeared. Yu Fei, who had already been pierced through the heart and had already died, at this time, his eyes suddenly opened. Yu Fei, who had regained consciousness, did not continue to be slaughtered. Instead, he used all his strength to break all the ropes tied to him. At the same time, the bang bang sound also attracted people. Attracted everyone's attention. You are not dead, how is this possible? To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Phila Novel app, comma. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 666. The most shocking one is undoubtedly Zhang Jun. He just inserted the long sword into Yu Fei's heart with his own hands. As a general who has killed countless enemies, whether it is the feel or the what he saw with his own eyes was very real. No one can survive after being pierced through the heart, but at this time Zhang Jun looked at Yu Fei's chest and found that there was no trace of injury at all on his chest, and the skin on his chest was smooth and strong. If it weren't for the fact that Yu Fei's shirt had been torn at the chest and there were a lot of blood stains on his body, Zhang Jun would have doubted whether he had just killed Yu Fei in a dream. However, it was the tears and blood stains on Yu Fei's shirt that showed that he had indeed been fatally injured just now, but at this time he was intact. Zhang Jun was shocked, and his face became extremely ugly. At the same time, Yu Fei, who had come back from the dead, looked equally astonished. He couldn't help but think that General Lu did not lie to me. The magic pill was actually able to give me 2 lives and bring me back to life. But at the same time, Yu Fei could also imagine that such a life-saving elixir must be extremely precious. Even though Lu Feng seemed to give him one casually without caring, he definitely didn't have many, and it might even be the only one at this moment. Just when Yu Fei was still surprised by the magic elixir Lu Feng gave him, Zhang Jun had already reacted, slashed at him with his sword, and shouted at the same time, "Yu Fei, go to hell." Although Zhang Jun did not, he knew that Yu Fei had found some way to return to life, but this was not the time to think about this issue. He knew that if Yu Fei didn't die, he might be the one who died. Facing Zhang Jun's panicked sword attack, Yu Fei didn't panic at all. Although he didn't have any weapons in his hands, he had become a half-step Wuji warrior and would not have any panic at all against Zhang Jun's opponent. I saw Yu Fei suddenly reaching out and grabbing the sword blade that Zhang Jun had chopped off. The sharp sword that could easily pierce Yu Fei's heart just now was unable to leave a single scratch on Yu Shang. Seeing this scene, Zhang Jun was immediately shocked. Whether Yu Fei was taking the sword with his bare hands or just coming back from the dead, it was beyond Zhang Jun's understanding and made him stunned. But Zhang Jun was in a daze, but Yu Fei was not dazed at all. He was holding the blade of Zhang Jun's sword with one hand, and then twisted it back hard, and actually broke the blade directly. Then he flicked the half of the sword blade and plunged it directly into Zhang Jun's chest, leaving no trace of it in midnight. Zhang Jun didn't have Lu Feng's magical elixir to save his life. After his heart was pierced by Yu Fei's sword, blood immediately poured out of his mouth. He struggled desperately for a few times, but more and more blood came from his mouth, and he finally fell to the ground. On the ground, there was no breathing anymore. After killing Zhang Jun, Yu Fei randomly picked up a spear from the ground and rushed towards the place where Yu Yun and others were surrounded. The gun he used was just a very ordinary spear and could not withstand his strength. Therefore, Yu Fei also stimulated the energy in his body, and there was a layer of faint golden energy surrounding the spear, which directly increased the hardness of the spear. Then a shot was fired, immediately mowing down a group of enemy soldiers. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 667. With unstoppable momentum, Yu Fei broke through all the surroundings and came to Yu Yun and others, and swept away a large area of a euro enemies around them. At this time, Yu Yun and others who saw Yu Fei coming in front of them all asked excitedly, "Father, Marshal, are you okay?" In addition to being excited, Yu Yun, Zhang Xian and others also had faces full of astonishment. They didn't know about Lu Feng giving Yu Fei the life-saving pill, so they naturally didn't know why Yu Fei was unscathed, and even the martial arts skills all over his body had improved by several levels. Facing the 4 people including Yu Yun, Yang Zixing and others who looked in disbelief, Yu Fei smiled and said, "Yu Fei, the great marshal of the Song dynasty who resisted the Jin dynasty, died just now. Now I am just a father and a brother who can fight side by side." At this time, Yu Fei is a person who has truly experienced death. Because he died once, he was able to let go of his obsessions, remove the burden on his shoulders, and live completely for himself. Moreover, as Lu Feng said before, Yu Fei's first life belongs to himself and is loyal to the Song dynasty. For the sake of loyalty in his heart, to prevent himself from being infamy, and to prevent all the loyalty and reputation he had accumulated in his life towards the Song dynasty from being destroyed, Yu Fei did not resist before and allowed Zhang Jun to catch him, or even kill himself. Even though he was fully capable of resisting, he did not do so just because of his deep love for Song dynasty. He would rather be wronged and framed than hurt Song dynasty. He was even willing to return his life to Song dynasty. However, after he died once, he saw Niu Gao, Yao Zhen, and others being killed by Zhang Jun because of his non-resistance, and he regretted it a little, but it was too late, and Yao could not resurrect like him. But now, Yu Fei has already died once. The person who died was the 16th wind who said goodbye to his former self and brought him back to life. Therefore, from now on, his life is at risk. After hearing Yu Fei's words, Yu Yun and others immediately felt greatly encouraged physically and mentally. Judging from his appearance just after his resurrection, Yu Fei was already standing at the pinnacle of the world's martial arts. As long as he didn't capture him on his own, no one could kill him. Yu Fei looked at the remaining four people, Yu Yun, Yang Zhaxing, Zhang Xian, and Su Qing, and felt a little sad. He knew clearly that Dong Xian and Wang Jun had bad moral character, but he still indulged them very much, which ultimately led to the current situation. Massacre. Now that they have sacrificed their lives to save themselves, I absolutely cannot let them die like this without a burial place. So Yu Fei stepped forward and carried Yao Zhen's body on his back. Seeing this, Su Qing and others also carried the bodies of Niu Gao and Ji Qing on their backs and killed them with Yu Fei. Just when Yu Fei and his 5 men arrived at the entrance of Dali Temple, 2 generals armed with double hammers suddenly came from a distance and rode horses to kill all the officers and soldiers along the way. The road was unimpeded. Dong saw those 2 people first and knew that they were the 2 generals under Lu Feng. When he broke the 5-square formation before, he had seen the force of these 2 people with his own eyes. He knew that not only one of them, but 100 of them would be too powerful. No match for these 2. Therefore, when he saw these 2 people coming to kill him, he knew that the situation was over. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Philu Novel app. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 668. It was impossible to kill Yu Fei, so he wanted to take advantage of the chaos and turn around and escape. However, Li Yuanba and Pei Yuanqing had noticed him a long time ago and knew that he was the main general of the Yu family army, but now he was hanging out with these jailers. He was obviously one of the people who betrayed Yu Fei. Knowing this, Li Yuanba was unambiguous. He pinched Wan Liyun with his legs and rushed towards Dong Xian instantly like a ray of light. Although Dong Xian was far away and escaped early, his speed was not as fast as that of a top-notch warhorse like Wan Liyun. After running a few steps, he felt a hurricane blowing behind him. Dong Xian turned around and saw that Yu Yun's master had already arrived behind him, and the golden hammer that looked bigger than a watermelon also suddenly hit him. Seeing this scene, Dong Xian felt like he was dying, and he quickly raised the tiger-headed crescent shovel in his hand to resist. He originally thought that among the generals of the Yu family army, he was also ranked high in terms of martial arts. Although he couldn't defeat Li Yuanba, he could resist 1 or 2 moves without any problem. However, he did not expect that as soon as the crescent shovel came into contact with the golden hammer, he instantly felt a huge force that he could not control at all. Then there was a sharp pain in both arms, and for a moment he couldn't feel the existence of his arms. Then the opponent's sledgehammer unexpectedly hit his face directly. From the perspective of Yu Yun and others, Li Yuanba had just struck out with the hammer, but Dong Xian first used his hands to hold up the crescent shovel to resist. However, the moment the 2 weapons came into contact, they were deformed by the sledgehammer, and directly smashed Dong Xian's arms. Then Li Yuanba kept hammering, hitting Dong Xian directly, and then directly smashed Dong Xian into a puddle of flesh from head to toe. Li Yuanba's strange force method was really scary, and the guards and officers and soldiers around him were so shocked that they immediately ran away crying for their fathers and mothers, as if they had seen an evil spirit seeking their lives, and no one dared to stop them. Even Yu Fei and others were a little frightened when they saw Li Yuanba's methods, but Yu Yun shouted excitedly, "Master, why are you here, Li?" Yuanba really liked his little apprentice, and even after having Yu Yun as his apprentice, he would often leave Pei Yuanqing aside and teach Yu Yun the hammering martial arts. At this time, Li Yuanba heard Yu Yun asking him, and he excitedly held the 2 sledgehammers in one hand, freed up one hand to wave to Yu Yun, and said, "Your Majesty is not worried about Marshal Yu, so let's let him go." We chased them all the way. After that, Li Yuanba saw several corpses carried by Yufei, Yang Zixing, and others. While scratching his head, he said with some embarrassment, "But it seems that we came a step later." Yufei, hearing Li Yuanba's words, he quickly raised his hands and said, "General Li, what are you talking about? It's our dream that you can rush over and save us. Why don't we tell you later? Let's fight out first." Since Yufei said so, Li Yuanba and Pei Yuanqing naturally didn't say anything, and the 7 of them broke out together. Li Yuanba is a Wuji general, Pei Yuanqing and Yufei are also half-step Wuji generals, and the other 4 are super generals. These jailers, officers, and soldiers are no match for them. In less than a quarter of an hour, everyone fought their way out of Dali Temple and escaped from Linen Mansion. Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 669. Everyone rushed out of Dali Temple and stopped to rest until they were nearly 100 miles away from Linen Mansion. After fighting all the way, the nerves of Yufei, Zhangxian, and the other 5 people were in a tense state. They just wanted to kill the enemy as much as possible, avenge Niu Gao and others, and escape from Linen while leaving their lives. Now that they were suddenly out of danger, the originally tight nerves suddenly relaxed, making Yu Yun, Zhangxian, Su Qing, and Yang Zixing instantly feel extremely tired. Coupled with the bursts of pain from countless wounds on their bodies, let them just want to sleep on the spot. Yufei's realm at this time has reached half-step of the Wuji warrior, and there is a clear gap in strength with Zhangxian and others, so he is not tired or injured, but now he finally has time to think about everything that just happened. In the previous battle, Yufei was still able to maintain a good condition, but now when he recalled what had just happened, it inevitably made him feel sad. Not only did many of his old subordinates who followed him in the fight against Gold suffer many casualties, but he himself was also accused of withholding food and wages and wasting up fighter opportunities. Although he escaped death in the end, when he thought that he had fought for the Song dynasty all his life and worked hard, but ended up like this, he was inevitably a little unbearable. In addition, thinking of his wife, children, and mother at home, Yufei was even more sad at this moment. He couldn't help but sigh. Although we are out of danger now, we have sacrificed many brothers, and those people behind Zhang Jun will definitely not let my mother go. It is not pity for me to die alone, but my family is rich, and now I have suffered such a disaster. I am really unfaithful and unfilial. Hearing Yufei lamenting alone, Yu Yun also left silently. Yufei said, "Father, don't be sad. After we got back, we immediately took people back and quietly returned to Anfu to see if we could rescue our grandmother, Qin, and brothers. If something happened to them, my son swore that he would find out the murderer behind the scenes and kill them all. Absolutely, avenge my grandmother, mother, and brothers." Yufei and Yu Yun were discussing matters at home and were distracted. At this time, Li Yuanba and Pei Yuanqing came over. Li Yuanba smiled and said, "Marshal Yu, disciple, there is no need to worry. When Yuanqing and I rushed to Linen Mansion, His Majesty had already guessed that they would definitely be unfavorable to you, so he had already planned everything." Dian Wei followed His Majesty's order and went to the marshal's home. He and his people left for a long time before the 2 of us. At this time, they may have been rescued and returned to Zuxian town. As long as we rush back, you can naturally get together. After listening to Li Yuanba's words, Yu Yun said excitedly, "Master, are you telling the truth? General Lu can even guess this in advance. That's great. My mother and grandmother are fine, and so are my brothers. It's great." Yufei also instantly thought of what Lu Feng said to him before he left, whether it was that he would inevitably escape death during this trip, or that someone around him would frame him. All of them came true. Now he has rescued his wife, children, and mother in advance, and he couldn't help but exclaim, General Lu is really like a godlike figure. Not only is he highly skilled in martial arts, but he also predicts events like a god. Even Zhuliang, the Marquis of Wu, is not as good as him. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Philu Novel app. A. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 670. After Yu Fei finished speaking, he suddenly realized that Li Yuanba's title to Lu Feng just now was a little inappropriate. Then he remembered what he had said before about the General of the Dragon Kingdom, so he asked, that's right. General Li calls General Lu Your Majesty, why is this? Li Yuanba realized it at this time. Just now he only wanted to brag about how powerful Lu Feng was, but he forgot to address him, and he suddenly scratched his head in embarrassment and said with a smile, well, you'd better wait until you see His Majesty and ask him in person. After Li Yuanba finished speaking, Pei Yuanqing looked at him with contempt, and then said to Yu Fei, Your Majesty also said that before we leave, I will help you fulfill your last wish, which is to destroy Jin Wushu. Although Li Yuanba is Pei Yuanqing's nominal superior, they are similar in age, both are hammer-wielding generals, and have the same natural powers, so the relationship between them is close. Like brothers, they are also the kind of bad friends who often despise each other. At this time, Li Yuanba's words were revealed. If he wasn't unfamiliar with Yu Fei, he would definitely seize the opportunity to humiliate Li Yuanba. After hearing Pei Yuanqing's words, Yu Fei couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat after learning that Lu Feng would help him eliminate Jin Wushu. Although he said that the anti-Jin general was dead, how could he not stop fighting against Jin for half his life? I'm worried about this. However, despite being excited, Yu Fei still keenly captured a key point in Pei Yuanqing's words, which was that Lu Feng said that before leaving, he would help him eliminate Jin Wushu. Where did he go? Although he was confused, Yu Fei looked at the two teenagers in front of him who were no more than 3 years older than Yu Yun. He knew that they might not be able to tell if he asked them, so he didn't ask any more questions and only waited until he saw Lu Feng before asking. With Lu Feng's promise, the group was instantly filled with strength and marched in a hurry. It didn't take long before they returned to Zuxian town and met Lu Feng. When Lu Feng saw Yu Fei, Ling's voice sounded in his head, Congratulations, Master, for completing this mission to the southern Song Dynasty world. You can follow him back to the main world. He heard the long-lost voice of the transferred elf. Lu Feng couldn't help but smile, but he had promised Yu Fei to help him eliminate Jin Wushu, so naturally he would not leave immediately. After Yu Fei met Lu Feng, he also met his mother, wife, and children. Daddy, Daddy, you are finally back. Yesterday, many bad people came to the house. They wanted to take us and my mother away, and even wanted to kill us. It was so scary. As soon as Yu Fei came back, 2 children, a boy and a girl, threw themselves into Yu Fei's arms. The girl was 7 or 8 years old and the boy was 5 or 6 years old. While talking to Yu Fei, he shed tears. Yu Fei saw his 2 children, age being frightened like this. Qianqing felt uncomfortable in her heart, and quickly comforted her. Ping later, Daddy is back, this kind of thing will never happen again in the future, don't cry. Yu Fei hugged his 2 children and felt sad in his heart. If he died, those people would definitely not let his children go. They are innocent. Thinking of this, Yu Fei was still a little reluctant to let go of Song Dynasty. His mood completely calmed down. He thought again, Yu Fei, have already died once for the Song Dynasty, and you actually want to kill my child. After Jin Wushu is eliminated, everything in the Song Kingdom it has nothing to do with me anymore. Philu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 671. When he thought that if he died, his children would inevitably die because of him, Yu Fei couldn't help feeling scared, and at the same time he felt even more grateful to Lu Feng. In fact, in history, Yu Fei, or Yu Fei who never died once, although he was an outstanding commander and an excellent general, he was not a qualified father and husband. Just because of his loyalty to the Song dynasty and his ideal of serving the country with loyalty, in history, he can be said to have indirectly killed Zhang Xian and Yu Yun. Now he has indirectly killed Niu Gao, Yao Zhen, and others, and almost killed others. His children and wife died. However, fortunately, after dying once, he had completely let go of the heavy pressure he was carrying, and cared more about his wife and children. At this time, Yu Fei's wife Li Xiaoyi looked at Yu Fei who had come back from the dead and was holding his child. Her eyes were filled with tears. Only her mother-in-law looked at Yu Fei with a complicated expression and didn't know what she was thinking. At the same time, Han Shizhong had also learned that Yu Fei had returned from Linen Mansion, and immediately rushed to meet him. On the way to see Yu Fei, Han Shizhong had already heard Zhang Xian, Su Qing, and others talking about Yu Fei's experience after returning to Beijing. He was also very sad. A generation of famous generals who fought against the Jin dynasty and loyal ministers through the ages ended up like this. It is inevitable that people feel sad. In addition to his grief, Han Shizhong was even more shocked by Yu Fei's resurrection. Although he had heard Zhang Xian's brief explanation, he did not know the specific situation, so he caught Yu Fei and asked about it. And Yu Fei got a divine elixir from Lu Feng. Lu Feng didn't say anything, but he also knew that this magical elixir was so miraculous that it must be extremely precious. Because he was afraid that someone would tell Lu Feng, he didn't tell others that Lu Feng gave it to him. The matter of divine elixir. Because Yu Fei did not elaborate on this, he only said that he did not know what happened at that time, so Han Shizhong and others did not understand it, so they could only attribute it to Yu Fei's loyalty, which made God not want him to die so unjustly. After talking to Han Shizhong, Yu Fei glanced at Li Xiaoyi first. The two smiled at each other, nodded silently, but did not speak. However, the tacit understanding between them was unspoken. Then, Yu Fei came to his mother-in-law, knelt down suddenly, kowtowed to her 3 times, and said, "Mom, everything I did was with a clear conscience, and I never resisted until my death. My life has been put on the line." He returned it to the Song dynasty and no longer owed the Song dynasty anything, but it caused the death of Niu Gao, Yao Zhen, and others. This made the children unable to let go, and they did not know how to explain it to their families. Now, the resistance of the Song dynasty Marshal Yu Fei of the Jin dynasty has died in the storm pavilion of Dali Temple, and the child does not want to be burdened by the 4 words loyalty to serve the country. You should be prepared. After a while, General Lu will lead everyone to eliminate Jin Wushu. I will take you away from here, my child, to live in seclusion in a place far away, without oppression, and no longer care about this world. My child is really tired. Yu Fei has joined the army 4 times since he was 20 years old, and now it has been nearly 20 years, but whether he first faced the powerful Jin kingdom or later fought against the Jin kingdom all year round, he never complained about suffering or tiredness. But now Yu Fei is indeed tired. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the Filu Novel app. A. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 672. However, he was not only tired physically, but also mentally. After experiencing so many betrayals and injustices, his heart was tired. Facing Yu Fei, who showed weakness for the first time in so many years, his mother-in-law didn't say much. She just touched Yu Fei's head as she did when he was a child. She knew that Yu Fei had done enough. Not only did he complete all the things he was supposed to do, but he also overfulfilled many things that were not within the scope of his duties. It can be said that Yu Fei's performance at this time was definitely worthy of the 4 words "serve the country with loyalty" on his back. However, today's rulers will not look at you differently because of your loyalty and righteousness, but because the more loyal and righteous people are, the more difficult it is for them to survive in this world. Han Shizhong on the side couldn't help but sigh after hearing Yu Fei's words, and said, "It's good to live in seclusion. It's true as you said. After so many years, I am indeed tired. I am tired too. When Jin Wushu is eliminated, I also want to find a place to live in seclusion. The cunning rabbit is dead, the lackeys are cooked, the birds are gone, and the good bow is hidden." Yu Fei has used his personal experience to give Han Shizhong a lesson. High achievements have shaken the master, which has been a taboo since ancient times. And with the attitude of the Song dynasty, how could Han Shizhong not be disappointed with the Song dynasty? After Han Shizhong, his mother-in-law and others finished reminiscing with Yu Fei, Lu Feng took Li Yuanba, Pei Yuanqing, Dian Wei and his 100 troops, plus Yu's army and Han Shizhong's army, to hunt down the silently retreating Jin soldiers. The Jin army had long known about Wanyanago's attack. The morale of the Israeli army was in chaos. Jin Wushu wanted to rush back to Shangjing as soon as possible to control the chaotic situation and rectify the situation in the DPRK, so he had no time to worry about his troops. As for the Yu family army, because Yu was resurrected, they felt that Yu Fei was favored by God, and the Yu family army must also be favored, so their morale was high and they defeated the retreating Jin soldiers with almost no effort. Even Jin, who was rushing at the front, was quickly caught up by Yu Fei and fought with him. Jin Wushu was the most outstanding military commander among the younger generation of the Jin kingdom. He and Yu Fei could even be regarded as mortal enemies, and they both knew each other's military capabilities very well. So when Yu Fei rushed up, Jin Wushu didn't have much preparation. After all, in his heart, the strength of the two was about equal, and even if they couldn't win, they could still make the other party suffer a lot. But as soon as the two of them fought, Jin Wushu felt Yu Fei's powerful force. With a flick of Yu Fei's Laquan spear, Jin Wushu could no longer control the chitailed crested golden bird axe in his hand and flew straight away. Got out. Faced with this change, Jin Wushu was still thinking about why Yu Fei, who was originally on par with him, suddenly became so powerful. Yu Fei already held the Laquan gun and pierced Jin Wushu's heart with one shot. With the death of Jin Wushu, Jin Bing no longer had the will to resist. They either knelt down and surrendered directly, or were chased to death by Longwu soldiers and Red Blood Dragon riders. After this battle, the Jin kingdom lost 1 million troops, no longer had the strength to go south, and could no longer pose a threat to the southern Song dynasty. Lu Feng also fulfilled his promise, not only annihilating the million-strong army of the Jin kingdom, but Jin Wushu was also killed by Yu Fei himself. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share.